It wrote right now.
Me, I got it. We'll go. We won't go first.
Are we gonna? No. You're already recording.
Hello again, Sci-Fi Gangstas. We got a good topic here today. All the other ones were terrible. This one's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, this one's the best one.
We're going to talk about top 5 sci-fi movie scores or soundtracks. So we're going to each give our top 5 reasons why. So this is pretty much this is pretty fun to come up with, right? I think we all kind of.
It was tough. I enjoyed this one.
It was a tough one. I had my top 5 about a week ago, and this morning I completely changed my top 5. So, but this is it. This is my true top 5 sci-fi movie soundtracks. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start with 5, and we're gonna work our way down. Oh, there is a rule: Star Wars is not on the list, right? Because we all pretty much
the greatest of all time.
And we're all pretty much gonna agree that Star Wars is the greatest. So we're not even gonna mention it. There's no point in talking about it.
So talk about other John Williams movies. So.
Right. So we're gonna do.
John Williams and Hansen.
We'll start with 5, and we'll start with Adam because he already has his notes ready to go. His glasses. He's about to do a Bible study here, and go ahead and give me your top 5.
Oh, you mean number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5. All right. I went with John Williams again. I went with E.T.
Okay.
E.T. was a good.
All right.
Was a good score there, and that's just because of childhood. I grew up watching it millions of times.
Right.
Just really enjoyed it. So.
All right.
There you go. That's my reason.
Because it
brings back memories.
Right. Yeah. 5. Go ahead.
All right. So the way I did this was I didn't do the 5 that I thought were the best.
Right. I'm the same way.
Yeah. So originally I did what I thought were the best, and then I changed it to if I hear it, what takes me back to the movie automatically.
Okay. All right.
So my number 5 is Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Just because if you hear that soundtrack, you know exactly what's from. It takes you to Jurassic Park. I'm not the biggest Jurassic Park fan, but the music is so distinctive that's why it's in my top 5.
I definitely had that on my top 5 list originally, and then I went back and I got rid of it. Go ahead.
My number 5 is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
The bum is good. But when it gets to the bum, that's amazing. It really steps it up. No, but I do not think that movie holds up for me very well. I do not enjoy watching it anymore. When I saw it as a kid, it blew my mind.
I actually watched it a couple days ago.
And
I understand the Kubrick thing.
I don't know. I can't watch boring movies anymore, even if they're good.
Okay.
But when those monkeys were hitting that thing and that thing showed up, I was like, oh my god! I haven't seen many movies, but I like this one.
The reason why I didn't have it on my list was because it's technically not an original score.
Oh, it's not.
No, I mean
I don't know anything about it.
He just used classical music from so it's kind of hard. I mean,
Kubrick does it a lot.
Yeah.
Like
so that's the only reason why. I mean, I think it fits perfectly with the movie. It's just that's why I had to take it out of my top 5 because technically it's not an original score, and also I probably wouldn't listen to it like on my iPod. I probably wouldn't listen to that. But anyways, it's kind of what I went with. My top 5, and I had to change my order several times on this, but I went with Tron. And the reason why I went with Tron is because the soundtrack makes the movie watchable, right? So the movie's okay, but the soundtrack just elevates it to a whole nother level. So if you were going to watch the movie again, Tron, Legacy.
Right, yeah. That was
the one by Daft Punk, right?
That was amazing.
So if you were going to watch the movie again, chances are you're not watching it because the story's great, right?
I'm watching it because of Olivia Wilde.
Okay, maybe you're watching it, maybe you're doing that, but you're most likely watching it because the soundtrack's just so great. Right?
The visuals are really good too.
The visuals are pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
But you can easily put this on your iPod and listen to the whole score, and it would be great. And I thought Daft Punk did an amazing job. They need to do it more often. They need to do it more often with movies. If they don't do it in the sequel to Tron Legacy, then that's a crime, and I don't want to watch it. But that's what I did. I did a Tron. It was my top 5, which might be sort of surprising because it's definitely not one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. But I think it is one of the best sci-fi movie scores of all time. This is 4.
This is number 4. Yeah. I went back to my childhood.
Okay.
I was force-fed this movie several times until I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But it was The Last Starfighter. Yeah. You remember that movie?
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I just started listening to it again. I didn't watch it again, but I started listening to the score.
I loved it when I saw it.
And I was like, oh yeah, it was pretty good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the moments, and it just kind of brought you back to the moments.
I've actually never seen this movie.
You should watch this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth the time, okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
number 4.
So this one isn't really. It's not an original score, but the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. It always takes me back to the movie, and that's from Transformers.
Okay. Which Transformers are we talking about?
1984.
The only actual Transformers movie, the 1986 animated.
The animated one. Okay.
The Stan Bush, the Touch song.
Okay.
It every time. Takes me right back.
I forgot about that.
And one of my favorite scenes, really of any movie at all, has to do with that song.
Okay.
It comes back in at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely in there.
Okay. So we're definitely going a little unorthodox with our list here, but I love it. That's great. Transformers, 1984 Transformers. So number 4. What's your number 4?
Oh, I should change the Transformers, but no, mine was Jurassic Park.
Okay.
For the reasons I said, it's a good little song. It's John Williams.
The theme, everybody knows the theme.
Yeah.
If you hum the theme, everybody knows what.
Kids will play it in band class. It's
True.
It's a well-known theme.
Did you play it in band class?
No, I was just in band for church. I was in the Salvation Army, so I just played trumpet for church. So
you're saying you didn't
we
play
can only
Jurassic
play
Park in church?
We've been playing church.
Okay. Jurassic Park. My number 4, hold on, let me double check because I did change this often, is Terminator. The 1984 Terminator. I could have went with several 80s sci-fi movies here. Escape from New York came to mind. If you wanted to go like the Thing and everything like that. But I went with Terminator because it's definitely got that 80s almost 8-bit sound to it with like the keyboard, but it's got the iconic da-da-da-da-da. So it's got that, but it's also got the cool 80s version of it because Terminator 2 goes a little different. It's obviously less 80s in it, but so that's what I picked the 1984 Terminator. All right, where are we at now? 4. We're at 3 now.
3 now. Well, let's see. I actually had Star Wars at my number 3.
Okay, so you didn't listen to the rules. It's okay.
But you didn't do that. So
why are you talking about Star Wars? We are all going to have.
That was my only Star Wars input in this whole
Okay.
thing. Yeah. But I'll switch it and say Jurassic Park because that actually wasn't on my list. I didn't even think about it.
Jurassic
But
Park.
yeah, so Jurassic Park I would throw in there.
The real thing. I actually don't have Jurassic Park on my list.
All right, so my number 3 is Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
So initially, you mentioned the music in Blade Runner,
Yeah,
right?
I did.
And I said I didn't think of music when I thought of Blade Runner.
So you're wrong. Okay.
So no, but I went back and watched it again.
Right.
For the 800th time or something. But the thing is, everything about Blade Runner is so good that I normally don't focus on music in movies too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's way down the list of things I look at.
Okay.
And everything else about Blade Runner is so good that I never really noticed the impact of the music. But the scene with when Roy Batty's dying, the music in there is perfect.
It is.
So that's
Tears in the Rain.
It's awesome.
Tears in the Rain. Where are we at? 3?
We're at
3. I keep asking.
I looked. If I had a series, I didn't just list them all. I just put them all together.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for mine specifically, it's Star Trek: Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
The music was just used so well in that movie. It's just one of the best movies ever. And I love that Star Trek theme. It's just nostalgia is a lot of it, but it's a good thing. It holds up. I don't know.
Did it bother any of you that J.J. Abrams didn't use the theme?
Yeah.
It kind of bothered me too. It kind of bothered me a little bit too because he used it in the Star Wars movie, but he didn't use it in the Star Trek movie. And it's such a memorable, iconic theme that it's kind of hard to. Yeah. So Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, definitely.
And my number 3 is so Interstellar. I had to put a Hans Zimmer one on there, and I think I didn't want to pick 2, so I just picked 1. I think Interstellar was the one I went with there because say what you want about Interstellar. People have different views on Interstellar. It's not a perfect movie. I do definitely like it a lot more than some people like it, primarily because the ending wasn't that great. It didn't really make any sense at the ending. But the score in that movie, Hans Zimmer has this talent for making you uneasy through a whole movie. Like I hate using the term, but you're literally on the edge of your seat the whole time. It's unsettling. And he has a talent. I know some people will say that Interstellar, it sounds like he fell asleep at his keyboard. I've heard that term a lot. And you kind of get feel that a little bit. But the tidal wave sequence was probably the most unnerving sequence that I've seen in a movie in a really long time. I mean, and the music had a lot to do with it.
The music, the score did a lot for the movie.
I will say this though, he does tend to distract a tad. Like you notice the music more than you probably should in a movie. And same thing with The Dark Knight and everything else that he does. What's the movie else? Inception. You notice the music probably when you shouldn't, but it's just so great that you're okay with it. Right?
They used to do that more in movies. Like I rewatched the original Jurassic Park, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it like there's so much music in there. It's like for all of it. They did that a lot during old movies.
Yeah,
like in Jurassic World, there's not that much music. This just jarring you out of the moment.
There's so much action.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, my number 2. I actually put Back to the Future. Just for the
Oh,
same reason.
okay. All right.
You hear the music and you know where it's from.
I think the reason why I didn't have is the same thing with the other movie we were talking about. That it technically is not an original score. He just used 80s popular music, but that's fine. You put it on your list. I'm totally okay with that. All right, number 2.
Superman.
Oh,
So the John Williams
we're
score.
really going. We're really going. We're taking
I don't feel so bad
liberties.
about mine.
We're taking liberties with this sci-fi. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sci-fi.
It says on
so
IMDb.
alternatively, huh?
He's an alien.
He's an alien. A score that's very similar is Masters of the Universe,
Okay.
and I love that score. So it's I think the Superman was a little more iconic because you hear it and automatically go there. But they're both kind of similar in the ways they do.
All right, Superman.
I'm in a similar vein. I chose a superhero movie that is listed as sci-fi on IMDb. I checked
Okay.
that for all my movies.
He did it. He did the research.
So-
He did it.
So X-Men First Class.
Oh, okay.
It is
Kind of good soundtrack.
it is a good mix of regular type soundtrack and electronic music. Just a little bit. Magneto's theme is just so awesome to me. I love that movie a lot more than most people do. It's my favorite X-Men movie. It's one of my favorite superhero movies.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's really good. And I just love the soundtrack. It's one of the only soundtracks I've ever bought, besides my number 1 maybe, which isn't a score at all.
Awesome. My number 2, and this actually, I went back and forth. This was almost my number 1, Flash Gordon. Okay, so Flash Gordon, look, it's sci-fi, right? And the reason why I have it number 2 is so low on my list, and I almost had it number 1, is that it's just such a great soundtrack, right? Made by one of the greatest bands of all time, Queen. It was set in a time where the 80s were, it's just a perfect time capsule of the 80s. The movie doesn't make any sense, right? So the plot doesn't make any sense. The character, terrible acting. The character, for some reason, they're playing football in the middle of the movie, whatever. So it definitely has that great cult classic goodness that an 80s movie should be. And it has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. I mean, Flash! Ah! I mean, come on. You can listen to that all day. He's just a man with a man's courage. That doesn't make any sense, but it's awesome, right?
I agree with that. I
Okay.
concur. That's great.
Flash Gordon, almost my number 1. Almost my number 1. I can watch that movie all day.
Well, Highlander doesn't count as sci-fi, does it?
It does.
Oh,
That's my number 1.
Oh, sorry.
No, Highlander. The first Highlander is a good one.
Princes of the Universe.
It's the best soundtrack.
It's so good.
I would have. Okay, go ahead.
I
Number
didn't think of a lot of these. That
Number
you
one.
guys.
I went with Star Trek. I actually thought of Wrath of Khan first, but
Okay.
as a whole, Star Trek is just, I love the scores, and I just grew up with it. I was
Yeah.
force-fed Star Trek until I enjoyed it too.
It's hard
so
not to like it.
it's hard not to so. Yeah.
Which Star Trek? You're just saying anything in general, or are you?
Well, I'm saying anything in general, but
Okay.
my first train of thought went to Wrath of Khan.
Okay, Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
All right, so if this were sci-fi, my number 1 would be A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, that's sci-fi.
But it's more like dystopian cyberpunk. Like
Yeah, it's
I don't-
sci-fi. We're taking some liberties here with
It's
Superman.
just sci-fi as
Transformers.
Okay, so that's probably my number 1. But Highlander would be like 1.5.
Okay. All right.
So obviously the Highlander Queen, Prince of the Universe is fantastic. For Clockwork Orange, after you see the movie, you can't hear Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and not think of
Mhm.
A Clockwork Orange, or Singing in the Rain, or the intro to Alex and the gang in the milk bar. Like, the movie's so powerful, it changes your relationship with all those songs.
So you don't have a Hans Zimmer in there anymore. I remember your original list that I saw, you had 2 Hans Zimmers.
Yeah, and that, because originally I was thinking what was the best music.
Okay.
So, and I think those, because they're tied to weaker movies,
Okay.
the music brought it up. But then I changed it to just, if I hear the music, what takes me to that movie.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
My number 1 is the least orthodox, I promise. My number 1 is the Hunger Games soundtrack.
Okay. All right. Wow.
I like pop alternative music better than I like soundtrack music.
What is on? By the way, you're going to tell me what is on the Hunger Games soundtrack.
My specific movie is Mockingjay Part 1, which has an original Lorde song called Yellow Flicker Beat, and it's just my favorite song.
Okay.
It's really good if you like that kind of music.
There's not Linkin Park in it, is there?
No, it's all like really good like hipster music, like the stuff that people.
The stuff we haven't heard.
Kanye West,
stuff that you never heard of.
Kanye West has.
You can only get on vinyl.
But I really like Lorde, and her best song is Yellow Flicker Beat on the Hunger Games soundtrack, and it's my ringtone. Whatever, it's my favorite song.
Very different list. I like it.
Sorry.
Number 1 is Blade Runner. So. Blade Runner is great for so many reasons, right? It's a well-directed film.
It's the best sci-fi movie of all time.
It's the greatest sci-fi movie of all time. But what sets it there is the soundtrack. That's what puts it there. The opening title sequence, I mean, the electronic trumpets and the tornado sound. Every Wednesday when we have that tornado siren that goes off, I think of Blade Runner every time it winds down, right? So that soundtrack puts you into that universe, right? It's definitely got a little 80s flair to it, right? But it sits you in that mood. I listened to it this morning, and you can almost hear like a raging fire in the background, and it goes perfectly with the fire plumes that were coming out of the bit. It's a perfect soundtrack, right? The love thing is great. I don't even remember who is the musician that did the Blade Runner soundtrack? Starts with a V, something like that, and whatever. Wagner? This is Wagner. Back in the day, it was Wagner. So here you go. So our number 1s were, what was your number 1? Star Trek.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
Hunger Games.
With Linkin Park.
No Linkin Park, I promise.
And then
no Creed either.
Very different lists. I like it. This is the part of the video where I say, give us your list, your top 5. Tell us what who you liked. Is Superman technically a sci-fi movie? Is the Hunger Games a sci-fi movie? Although Hunger Games is, that's a sci-fi.
Yeah. It's on IMDb.
Like, subscribe, all that good jazz.